Hello peeps, this is Kevin, and you're watching Duty's Daggers. Today I'm going to be talking to you about 6 mini knives. Mini, small, in size, tiny knives. First, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do it. Why not? Follow me on Instagram at duties_daggers as well. So, let's look at some small knives. I wasn't always a small knife guy. For the first while of collecting knives, I only got big knives for whatever reason. And then I started to realize that, you don't always want a large knife. There are situations where you want a small one. And, there are attributes that a lot of small knives have that big knives don't. Not in every case, but in a lot of cases you're getting a thinner blade, thinner behind the edge, a little more slicey in a lot of cases. And maybe you're wearing clothes that you don't want something heavy weighing you down, or a situation where you don't want something heavy weighing you down. And to be honest, in a lot of cases, I don't even really need this much of a blade, honestly. I really don't. I don't use this whole blade often. I definitely do, but there are cases where I don't need more than 2 inches of blade. So let's take a look at some of my favorites that are in my collection. And let's see, what should we start with? Let's start with this guy. This is the Protek Calmigo. And it's a little mini side opening automatic. You have a safety switch right here. These scales are aluminum. It might look like an integral, but there is a seam back here. So safety switch off, fire it out. It actually fires pretty hard, surprisingly hard for such a little guy. You have a flat grind here, not unbelievably thin at the edge, but thin enough. I actually cut jimping into mine. It doesn't come with that. Kind of a weird little groove right here. I can't really figure out if it's meant to be on this finger or on your pointer finger. If you put your pointer finger in there, then your pinky's falling off the back. But there's this nice flat spot here, so you can absolutely kind of put your middle finger in that slot and then go above it, and they can get a full grip on it this way. So this is a pretty cool little small knife. It's California legal, or anywhere else where side opening automatics are illegal. Typically in those places that they have to be under 2 inches, so this qualifies. Comes with a pretty deep carry clip. This is a pretty fun little snappy auto for your 5th pocket carry, or even a primary carry if you want to carry something smaller. I think it is a little bit of a funky design. I think the Protek Runt looks better to me. It's kind of, I don't know, it's just a little funky. I would like to get a Runt. They make the Protek Runt now in Magna Cut. I almost bought one the other day. I'm gonna have to wait until I can afford it. I just think it's a little better than this Calmigo. But it is pretty cool. It is a pretty cool little small little auto. So that's the Protek Calmigo. Alright, let's talk about this one. I talk about it a lot. But if you haven't been watching my videos, this is the Savivi Lumi. Small little guy. Comes with a deep carry clip, but I have the titanium one on here. Looks a little more classy. And it's a top clipper. We have G10 on the handles. Kind of cool that the blade is not exposed at all in the closed position. That's kind of cool. This thing just slides really easy in and out of the pocket, and you deploy it like this. Super duper easy. Or like this. Both are really fun to do. Very, very fun deployment on this knife. The blade is hollow ground, super thin at the edge, thin blade stock. Comes down to a pretty aggressive point for piercing tasks. This is a really fun one. Probably, yeah. It's one of the most fun knives on this list. I'll say that. As on a lot of these knives, you can get your pointer finger right down to the tip for putting a lot of pressure down into it. This guy's really fun. Savivi Lumi. I really like it. They give you a little cutout here for lock bar access. It's pretty easy to shove that lock bar over to disengage. And it just looks cool. Doesn't it look cool to do this? Right? It just looks pretty neat, man. They gave you a pretty good little decent sharpening choil there. Not that I will probably ever be really sharpening this a whole lot. I just strop it occasionally, and you know, I'm not really using this blade back here as much as I am this inch here towards the tip. But the blade steel is 14C28N, so pretty good stuff. Pocket clip is reversible, and it sits in a little recess there. Pretty cool little guy. The liners in the scale are shadow boxed, so the liners are sticking out a little bit past the G10 there. Just gives it a little bit of a good look there. Pretty good looking knife. I like it. I forgot to mention the blade steel on the Protek Calmigo was 154 cm. Alright, next up we got the Concept Mini Occipital. Now this is the largest knife of the group here. I would almost call it a medium-sized knife, but it's called the Mini Occipital, so it's a mini. There is a large version of this, and it's still pretty small. I mean, I could fit it almost completely in my grip here. This is a pretty cool knife. It's a titanium frame lock front flipper with a pretty nicely done micarta inlay here. Green micarta. There's a couple of cool things I like about this knife. There's some cool milling going on here. I like this kind of this milled out areas on the sides, and if you look closely you can see actually some faint milling lines in these beveled areas on the edges. I like how these lines kind of flow. I actually like how they did this lanyard hole. It's just a little added kind of you know, some extra milling on the titanium for you to look at. It kind of humps up over that cutout there. I think that looks pretty cool. They on the lock side, we have these same kind of almost, you know, chamferings on the edges here. Milled titanium pocket clip that works well. We have a steel lock bar insert and over travel stop, and the front flipper on this guy works good. Actually, really good. Very easy to front flip. I can do the reach around. I can do the side dealio, whatever the hell that's called. Really easy knife to use. The lock bar is really nicely chamfered there, and you have good access to it. So really comfortable to push the lock bar over. Super comfortable. Another nice little feature is it has a crowned spine. You can see that spine is rounded off. Just gives it a cool look, and it's really nice and soft on your thumb if you're holding it like this. It's pretty ergonomic too. I mean, you want to choke up, but really back here is where it's at. I can still get a full grip on it. Right back here, a little bit of a groove here to accept your pointer finger. Comfortable knife. The edge is fairly thin. The blade steel is S35 VN. Nice stone washing on it too. It's kind of a more reflective stone washing, which I think looks really nice. Couple swedges going on here. Pretty decent sharpening choil. This is a cool knife. They go for around 140 bucks, I believe. So it's the most pricey knife on this list, and that's just because of the blade steel. You know, you're getting titanium, the inlay work, all that stuff. This is a cool one. I would probably actually rather have this one than the full size. It's a cool little compact titanium frame lock front flipper. Very good, just good stuff. My one little nitpick is the front flipper does not have to be shaped like that. At first I thought maybe the stop pin fell into this area here in the open position, but it does not. So they could have just kind of made this go straight back here and maybe wrapped the jimping around the top of it. That might have been even better. But honestly, I really don't have any complaints front flipping this thing. You know, it's totally fine. It's just a little nitpick. So that's the Concept Mini Occipital. All right, next let's look at this one. This is my least favorite of the list, the Cold Steel Mini Tough Light. Now, how I came by this, by owning this knife was I was bamboozled by Amazon. Is basically what happened. I wanted to buy the regular sized Cold Steel Tough Light. On the listing, there was the picture of the full size one, so I bought it. It was a good deal, so I bought it. And then it arrived, and I realized it was not the full size; it was the mini. So I went back and looked at the listing, and at the very bottom of the description, in small letters, it said mini. So they got me. They got me. It's an okay knife. We have, I think it's G10. Yeah, it's G10. It's got a little bit of like an orange peel texture on the G10, which I do like. Big old lanyard slot. I'm not sure why that has to be that big. It's a backlock or an Atlas. Is it called? What is it called? What's Cold Steel's backlock called? I'm blanking. It's not the Atlas lock. Triad. It's the Triad lock. So you have a cutout in the blade there for opening, and it's just a really small cutting edge, basically the size of a razor blade. I will say that it is really comfortable. I will say that. I can actually get a full grip on this thing, believe it or not. You're really choked up. Your thumb can go all the way to the tip of this thing. It's hollow ground. The blade steel is 4116 stainless, so not the best stuff. I have to sharpen this thing pretty often. You know, it's just not great. You know, the action is not good. You know, I messed with the pivot a lot, but I still get movement on the blade. You know, it's okay. I basically, this lives in a toolbox in my truck, and I use it to sharpen my my welder's pencils. So this is my pencil sharpener. Sometimes I use it to cut cardboard. You know, it is really easy to get a lot of pressure into the tip for utility style cuts. But I have some other knives that actually I think work a little better than this one for that kind of cutting. I need to try the full-size one eventually. I might like it better than the mini. I feel like this is just a little too small. The pocket clip is really just kind of funky. I've never used it. Yeah, not the best knife on the list, but you know, it's a mini, so you know, it had to be on the list. Here it is, the mini Tough Light. All right, we got two mas. Let's talk about the mini bag lighter, the Kaiser mini bag lighter. I really like this guy. Really nice quality micarta. Very nice quality micarta, actually. Kind of a greenish, OD greenish micarta. It's a thumb stud only. We have a deep carry pocket clip. Kind of a thin design. Sits really easy in the pocket. Deep carry clip, like I said. There's a nice polish on all the liners and the clip and everything. Kaiser does a really good job about having a nice high polish on everything. I really like that. The detent on this guy is fantastic. It really is fantastic. It's just so easy to pop out the blade. It's a small knife, so you kind of do have to crunch your thumb back a little bit to get to the thumb stud. But once you get used to that, I mean, look at this thing just fire out. It's crazy. It really is cool. And the closing action, holy crap. It's a really light blade, so the fact that it closes that easily and smoothly is pretty impressive. It's running on bearings. Very, very thin down at the edge. It's a reverse tanto, so really good utility cutter. Super, super good utility cutter. Maybe one of the best on this list. It's just so thin, man. So thin down here. You can get your pointer finger right at the tip for a lot of pressure. I really like this knife a lot. The full-size bag lighter does not come in this reverse tanto blade shape, or else I probably would have got the full-size version. But I'm actually kind of glad I got the mini because it's just a really good size. If you're hanging out around the house or an office, and you know you're going to be doing a lot of opening packages or cutting out labels or any you know, something similar to that, this is just a really good thing to pop in your pocket because it's going to do everything you need it to do. I like the design. I like this little flare out back at the butt here. Helps you kind of feel locked in. I can get a full grip on this guy easily. Not the best sharpening choil. You can see that the end of the edge starts right where the plunge line starts to slope up. So that's really not great. That should have been a little bit farther out here where they started that choil. But it's okay. Like I've said before, I'm not really using this back part of the edge that much anyways. I'm really only using this inch up towards the tip, so not a deal breaker, just a little nitpick on it. I can reverse flick it. It's a little harder to do. You kind of have to make sure you're at the right spot to be able to do it, but it's doable. But really, the thumb flick's where it's at. It really is. Just so fun to pop this thing out. It's pretty fidgety. It really is. You can even hear a click when the detent pops out of its hole. That's how snappy it is. Check it out. You hear that? That tells you how snappy it is. Pretty cool. I really like this guy. It was on sale for 45 bucks. It might still be on sale on Amazon. I'll put links to all these below so you can go check it out. I really recommend this guy. It's really a really nice knife. And then finally, the newest one in my collection, the Savivi Baby Banter. This is a special one. This is the Ivory G10 and the red blade. I think it looks really cool, man. Really cool. I've wanted a baby banter for a little while. I just never got around to getting one, and then I saw this version, and I knew that it was time to get it. This is a cool knife, man. It's the smallest one on the list, I think. Is it? Yeah. Well, the Mini Tough Light is almost exactly the same size. So it's the smallest one on the list, but honestly, once you get it in your hand, it feels like one of the largest. I mean, look at that. I still actually have a little bit sticking out past the end of my grip there, which is pretty gnarly. It's a small blade, though. I can get my thumb all the way to the tip there. But, man, in the hand, this really does feel like a much bigger knife. And that's one of the main kind of selling points on the Baby Banter is it's a small knife that feels like a big one. That's kind of always been its thing. Very thin, slicey blade. I mean, look at that blade stock. The thing is thin. Really nice choke up spot. Really, really nice. I like how they gave you a little bit of sharpening room here. You can see the edge ends there, and then you have a little bit of space before the plunge line begins. So that's great. It's a drop point close to a spear point blade shape, so a nice low tip. I mean, this thing's going to be really nice for detail work, even with your thumb up here like this. Thumb studs are in a great spot. The jimping, I will say, is really not grippy at all. I don't know why. It's kind of a weird style jimping. You can see they're like totally square cuts into the spine there, which is a little weird. But it's really not grippy at all. It might as well really not be there. This jimping, however, down in the choil is a bit better. A little more grippy there. Deep carry pocket clip with the red hardware. I think those red screws next to the black clip look really good right there. It says Banter there on the clip. I wish the detent was a bit stronger on this guy. I think it might be because the blade's coated, because I've never heard anyone complain about a weak detent on one of these Baby Banters. So I'm thinking it might be just these red coated blades that are doing that. If anyone knows a fix on that, let me know. I tried cleaning out the detent hole. I got some of the red coating that was in that detent hole out, but it's a little better. It's still not great though. I can reverse flick it pretty easily. It's just really easy to fail. I mean, I can flick it out every time if I try pretty easily, but you know, I just wish it was a little snappier is all. Aside from that, I really like it. I really do. Another kind of interesting thing that I noticed is for the lock bar access cutout, they actually just kind of sloped it back here. They started at 0 back here, and then they slowly sloped with only this scale in all the way up to the lock bar. You can see what I mean right there. I think that's a pretty cool way to do it. You know, it's not like a lot of other knives where they only notch out just where your thumb's going to be on the lock bar, but they kind of slowly sloped it up so you don't even really notice it. I think that's a really cool little touch. I just noticed it today, and I thought, wow, that's pretty smart. You know, if you're looking at the knife this way or this way, you really don't even notice it. I think that's really cool. I think that's a good way to do it because it doesn't mess with the ergonomics at all. You don't have a weird cutout right there. So really smart design on Ben Peterson's, you know, from him. Ben Peterson is the guy that's designed all the Banters, the Baby, the regular size, and the new XL that has just released. So that's the baby Banter. I'm really happy with it so far, except for the little weaker detent. Fantastic little guy. And that's it. Let's get them all out here. We had first. What did we do first? Oh yeah. Well, let's do in descending size. So we had the Concept Mini Accipiter. We had the Kaiser Mini Beglighter. Can you stay up for me? Kind of. We had the Protek Calmigo. We had the Savivi Lumi. And we had the Cold Steel Tough Light Mini and the baby Banter. That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Use my links below if you want to purchase any of these knives or just take a look at them. If you use the links, any of the links down below, it does help the channel out. I also have discount codes for White Mountain knives and Blue Creek knives. You get 10% off for those, so go use them. They both have good selections. And I also have a Patreon if you are interested in helping support the channel even more than you are now by watching. Then go ahead and do that. And I love you guys. Let's get to 1,000. We're like 950, dude. We're so close. We can do it. It's gonna happen. All right. I love y'all. Peace.